News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. As federal social distancing guidelines expire tonight at midnight, some states are loosening restrictions while others are keeping them in place. CBS's Michael George has the latest on COVID-19 across the nation.
Protesters, some of them armed, marched on Michigan's state capitol, demanding Governor Gretchen Whitmer lift extended stay-at-home orders.
She just issued an order that says I can't go out to a drive-in movie inside my own vehicle with 20-foot space between their vehicles.
California Governor Gavin Newsom ordered Orange County beaches temporarily closed after crowds flocked to them last weekend.
Specific issues on some of those beaches have raised alarm bells. People that are congregating there that weren't practicing physical distancing.
By Friday, at least 35 states will have loosened their lockdowns, some allowing retailers with limits on customers, movie theaters, and restaurants to open with capacity restrictions. This Little Rock, Arkansas restaurant owner thinks it's still too soon.
Doing curbside was one thing, but having people come to the patio or the dining room, sit down and eat, and then us cleaning up after them, that's a really different set of circumstances.
Governor Cuomo ordered New York City subways to be shut down for 4 hours overnight for daily cleaning, starting next week. The transit system has lost dozens of workers to the coronavirus. And tragedy mixed with renewal. Raymond Sangster's mother died from COVID-19 just days before he was admitted to New York's Mount Sinai Hospital. But after several days on a ventilator, the 56-year-old coronavirus survivor went home to his wife and 2 children.
All right, love you too.
Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Here in Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear reported 174 new cases today, bringing Kentucky's total to 4,708. The governor repeated that so far in the last few weeks, it appears Kentucky's case rate has plateaued. Kentucky's death toll is now 240 after 5 more coronavirus-related deaths today. 1,675 people have recovered from the virus. A report says Kentucky's state government faces a revenue deficit that could approach $500 million in the current fiscal year. Also today, Deputy Secretary of the Education and Workforce Development Cabinet Josh Benton announced the state is continuing to work on unemployment claims. He says they were able to clear an additional 1,050 of the 29,000 remaining initial March unemployment claims yesterday. There are more than 27,000 March claims remaining. 8,000 people who applied in March but have not provided identity documents will receive a direct email tonight.
For the rest of the March claims, we're going to be sending out an email to all of you all that we do not have identity documents for. We know that's about 9,000 people. So we will be sending out an email, hopefully this evening or in the morning, with instructions on submitting those documents so that we can get those claims resolved and moving forward.
Officials also announced today 2 Kentucky Air National Guard C-130s will fly over the Commonwealth tomorrow. The specific locations include Louisville, Frankfort, Lexington, Pikeville, Bowling Green, and Owensboro.
Well, it was another just gloomy day, nasty day and rainy day here in the mountains. It's going to continue a little bit tomorrow, but better weather is on the way. First, we'll go ahead and take you up to a few of those cameras as we look along Interstate 75. Looking a little bit better than it was earlier. Looks like they're starting to dry out just a little bit, not looking as rainy, but satellite and radar shows those scattered showers that we have been dealing with throughout the day. They were sometimes a little bit heavy at times. It's definitely just seeing that misty rain really throughout the day, along with those cloudy skies. Temperatures are into about those upper 40s right now, even close to the lower 50s if you're looking down towards Tennessee. A little bit cooler and wise at 43 degrees. That cloud cover keeping us a little bit relatively on the warmer side tonight. We're really only dropping to about the low to mid 40s. Few showers continue. Could see some foggy conditions, and also going to continue to see that cloud cover as we head through actually most of the day on your Friday. So we'll kind of see those gloomy conditions. However, by the later evening hours, we'll see those clouds break up a little bit. That sunshine returns, though, just in time for the weekend, but we also could be looking at more rain as we head into the second half of the weekend. The rest of that forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, Paige, thank you very much. Today, we learned a former federal prosecutor filed a civil rights complaint with the U.S. Attorney against Elkhorn City Police Chief Bobby Sexton. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports the complaint stems from 2 citations Sexton issued last week against 2 people who reportedly failed to comply with social distancing rules at a Dollar General. A spokeswoman for the U.S. Attorney's Office said they are reviewing the complaint but could not provide further details to the paper. Is social distancing working? A new study by the Institute for the Study of Free Enterprise at the University of Kentucky says yes. The study shows without the state-enforced social distancing guidelines, we could have seen more than 40,000 COVID-19 cases and 2,000 deaths in Kentucky. The study looked at 4 types of restrictions, which include the closing of public schools, entertainment establishments, banning large gatherings, and healthy-at-home orders.
By April 25th, which is the last day we had data on, that without any of those restrictions, that the number of cases in Kentucky would have been well over 40,000. If you project that to number of deaths, based on what we've observed in terms of the death rate so far, you'd get around 2,000 deaths.
If you would like to read the entire study, we have a link on our website, WYMT.com. Orders to stay home and not gather in groups has caused many to put travel plans on hold. It's also forced 2 Kentucky state parks to close because of crowds, and that's making a financial impact. Victor Puente explains the changes state parks are facing as the pandemic continues.
There have been some pretty big changes at Kentucky's state parks, including closing 2 of them, Natural Bridge and Cumberland Falls.
After the federal government closed the Red River Gorge area, it caused an increase in traffic there, and we were having problems along the trails and in the parking areas, etc., being able to enforce social distancing.
Cabinet Secretary Mike Berry tells me they've also enacted new policies everywhere else.
We are on adjusted hours instead of being 24-hour. They're only open in daytime hours. That includes those parks that have boat ramps.
They don't have an estimate on how much this has cost the state, but he tells me it's significant and it's not limited to the state budget.
You know, when you're thinking about tourism, it's not only state parks, but it's also the restaurants and the motels and the attractions all along I-75 as people drive to spring break and back, which they didn't do this year.
They've also had to cancel some big events, like the Land Rover 3-day event at the Kentucky Horse Park. They have been able to put some of those vacant areas to use. They've housed more than 70 first responders in cottages across the state.
They're on the front line doing what we need them to do, but they may very well be exposed to the coronavirus, and they're going to be reticent to go home and expose their families. If we need a place for them to stay, let's think about using the parks.
And as far as reopening everything, Barry tells me they're going to listen to the health experts. That will likely happen in phases. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WYMT Mountain News.
They are planning a virtual Kentucky Derby celebration this weekend through the Kentucky Historical Society. Well, speaking of horse racing, it will be allowed once again on May 11th, but with no fans at the tracks. For Keeneland and Lexington and other racetracks around Kentucky, this is finally some good news after missing spring races. Keeneland's president and CEO Bill Thomason says missing the spring meet brought a $102 million impact to the community. Thomason says he hopes to reset the racing calendar.
We're looking for opportunities to be able to bring back some of these races we missed in the spring, some of these really important stakes races.
Once racing resumes, Thomason says fans will still have the opportunity to watch the races online and make bets through their app and online. Instruction may be on hold at the Kentucky Advanced Manufacturing Institute in Johnson County, but they are still putting the facility to use. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has more on how the Institute is trying to shield healthcare workers from COVID-19.
It is an issue that most people have heard about.
We've done a great job taking care of our patients, but the fear all along, not just in the state of Kentucky, but across the United States, is the lack of PPE.
And one that the Kentucky Advanced Manufacturing Institute is working to address.
So my staff said, you know, we've got 3D printers. Why don't we just fire them up and, try to help with the shortage.
And the printers have certainly been fired up. The men refocused their CNC manufacturing skills to learn 3D printing.
They came in, worked day and night, and on the weekends perfected a shield, a style, and we started out making a half a dozen or so a day, and now they're up to nearly 100 a day.
Those face shields have been donated to healthcare facilities across the region since the efforts began. 150 shields were donated to Appalachian Regional Healthcare Thursday, and officials with the hospital were invited to see the staff at work.
And very articulate, very knowledgeable, very passionate about what they're doing, because I think they realize that they're making a difference too.
A small glimpse into the behind-the-scenes work.
To know that our business partners right here in eastern Kentucky are stepping up to the plate and meeting our need is just very heartwarming.
That fuels Team Kentucky. In Johnson County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
One of the biggest days of many people's lives is their wedding day. Now, this is just one event that is impacted by the coronavirus outbreak. The couples, wedding planners, and event venues continue to work together to come up with plans to keep couples walking down the aisle. Nicole Schaus, the owner of the Perfect Place event venue, says this task can be difficult.
Count a bride, a groom, the officiant, the photographer. There's 4 guests right there. If you're saying only 10's allowed to be here, by the time you do a maid of honor, a groomsman, a best man, and then their parents, that's 10 people.
Schaus says her event space is going to implement social distancing by using more of their property by spreading out church pews for ceremonies and tables for receptions. On the list of businesses expected to open on May 11th in Kentucky, we see a handful like manufacturing and construction, but one that might stick out on the list is pet grooming. It is a welcome surprise for those in that industry. WYMT's Connor James stopped by one local grooming facility to talk about what they've been through and what reopening looks like.
Besides the rescued animals here at Barnyard Boutique, it's been quiet.
There's been no business. When we're shut down, we can't do anything.
The doors here are closed and business is halted. Even without an income, Beth Vaughn still comes here daily to take care of the rescued animals who call this place home.
I am up here because I do have animals here that need to be cared for. We've got cats and ferrets and rescue dogs and things that still need care and attended to.
Which is why Wednesday's update was a much needed surprise.
Super excited. Actually, I wasn't even aware that it had happened.
She did not know she'd be in the first group of businesses to open. She's thankful for it though. To her, it's not just about the animals' looks here.
Really, it's a health hazard, for the animals to let them go without grooming.
She says animals that can't self-groom have skin conditions or even certain breeds need constant grooming. That shows in the appointments set up following Wednesday's news conference.
My phone literally just blew up. I had over 20 text messages. I had over 10 phone calls. I had Facebook messages. It was insane.
With the doors here shuttered for more than 1 month.
The first week is already booked. We're working on the second week and we're not even there yet.
She looks forward to when the calendar flips to May 11th. In Hazard, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Vaughn says she plans on following CDC guidelines such as masks and spaced out appointments. She says they were already following many of these practices before COVID-19. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, an update on a murder case in Clay County, and the search continues for a missing child in Bath County after 4 others were found dead.
And those gloomy conditions continue for a little bit, but how long is that? I'll have that answer coming up.